Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the workshop of the Board of County Commissioners for November 14th. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing we have on our agenda, which I'm going to give a little bit of time to our county employees and staff, is this. So I'd like to move this to the bottom of our agenda, and let's talk about item number 2, the discussion related to the appointee of the Southwest Water Conservancy District. So Commissioner Copenhaver, I'll turn that over to you as far as.
Okay. It's up, my term that I finished is up this year, at the end of this year, so in order for me to serve for the next 3 years, I need to be reappointed to that board by the commission. It's basically what it amounts to, so, did they send you some forms?
They sent me, and it should be up on the screen, that's the only thing that they sent was the letter of appointment.
There are pages to sign.
Well, that's for tomorrow. Yeah.
So the signature page is for tomorrow, because today is just a discussion, which basically the discussion for me is, first of all, asking, I mean, are you willing to finish or
Yes.
to serve this next
Yeah, I'll still do it.
3 years? Okay, that was the only question that I had.
Okay, we're good.
All right, well, that was an easy discussion, and thank you, sir, and we'll take care of that, and we'll sign that tomorrow, and we'll be way ahead of January. So, next, we'll talk about the weed management plan and the enforcement letter. Miss Loving, come on down.
So weird, I'm the only person here. Okay.
Well, it's
We
kind
draw a
of
crowd, don't we?
unusual.
Okay, so let's start with some changes that we're proposing on the, we have the plan first. We can do that first. And this is something that we're just working on over time. We don't have to make, obviously we're not making decisions today, but if you have ideas, we can work on those ideas. And we don't have to finalize this for a couple of months. Obviously, we're not doing any enforcement until probably next June, July, so we got time. So going through this, there's a lot of small little changes, just changing the weed department to the noxious weed department, because we're not just saying weed anymore, because people get confused what that means. So the major changes, let's see, page 4. So section 2, I deleted a section just talking about this plan further recognizes that because of the spread of noxious weeds can largely be attributed to the movement of seed and plant parts on motor vehicles, and noxious weeds are becoming an increasing maintenance problem on highway right-of-ways in the state. Local CSU efforts have been undertaken to proceed with noxious weed management. So I just don't think that we need that. So I removed that. And the fact that it says CSU efforts, they don't really deal with noxious weeds. They give that to our department to handle. So I recommended to delete that. The next,
So I have a question there. Ian, would it be, if we go with this recommendation, would it be advisable to put that statute there with it, or at least the reference number, so that somebody could look that up? Because if you just say with the statutory provision of this Noxious Weed Act, I mean, how do people really search it?
Where are you looking at, Commissioner?
So, D, where she struck it.
Yep.
And then and I guess that's blue.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. This plan, so you would just You're just suggesting
put
putting
the-
the statutory
the
site to the
statutory number.
Noxious Weed Act? Yeah, I think that's fine. We can put that in.
Just so that somebody can easily look it up by the number and actually go right straight to it instead of having to go through a whole search and,
Oh, okay, I see it.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Instead of
so if
having
they're
to-
online, they can just click something and it
Yep.
takes you directly to
Takes you
there. So
right
it's just
to
a
what the statute
software
says.
formatting thing.
Well, or the way, I'm just understanding, so you would have like CRS, I don't
Yeah.
know the exact numbers of the
And I
Noxious
don't
Weed
either,
Act, but
just-
I can get those to you, Bonnie. So we would just say the Noxious Weed Act found at Colorado Revised Statute 37 dash,
Yeah,
so on and so forth.
and that's all it has to be. It doesn't even have to take you to the link. They can look that up. I'm just saying just the reference number.
I think I understand.
And I do, I can
Okay.
shoot it over, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yep, sorry.
All right. Page 6, I deleted out high-intensity burning in a controlled environment that completely destroys seeds and viability. I have a problem with that because it's also going to be damaging your native plants. I don't really recommend burning if you can avoid it, unless you're burning up Russian thistles. I just don't think we should promote this because a lot of people set their cheatgrass fields on fire and it becomes a bigger problem.
Not for long.
It's just more of a
As far as
Band-Aid
fire.
using, I mean, burning piles is one thing, but using the burning methods to actually control weeds, I don't think that really is an option.
So is it an option by statute?
The statute doesn't lay out specifics. The statute delegates a lot of these things to the counties to develop into the plan. So I don't think the statute says yay or
No.
nay.
The statute pretty
burning.
much says use integrated weed management.
Okay.
And so you tailor that to fit your local environment, what works and what doesn't work. Does that make sense? So that's just a suggestion. I don't really like promoting people to burn things if they don't have to, because it's not really going to take care of the problem. It might cause more problems. Page 7, so this is a big change. We wanted to delete section 6 about the CSU extension. My advisory board didn't want to be tied to the CSU because CSU doesn't really have much to do with noxious weed management in Montezuma County. That's our role. However, we did keep in section 7A that CSU extension will work with us on educational programs, which we do. So that's in there, but just having that huge CSU section managing weeds, they don't really do that. So I don't know if you guys looked over this. Do you have any comments on that section? Okay. All right, page 9, section 11. I deleted this. This determination may come from the recommendations in the Colorado Pesticide Guide from CSU Extension. We don't use their recommendations. We actually use recommendations from chemical reps. The CSU recommendations, a lot of them aren't updated compared to, the new chemistries that are coming out. So that's where we specifically get our recommendations from, is the chemical reps. So I would just assume take that out. That way it doesn't tie us to their recommendations. Page 13, so this is a section that Travis and I talked about putting in there. It's part of the enforcement. So initially we send out the notification letters, and once I've sent them out for 2 to 3 years in a row, at that point I'll send that certified enforcement letter. Travis and I talked about having a return signature, because the one that I've been using for the past 10 years, it just comes back to me saying it was signed on a certain date, and I don't have access to those actual signatures. USPS does, but it just would be good to cover ourselves that way. So the USPS is supposed to require identification when they have these guys sign the certified letter, so they said it should be pretty legit. But I guess it would be nice to have their signature in our documented enforcement stuff. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I need to put that in here, specifics on.
So what we do in child protection is we send everything out, registered mail, return receipt requested. And you get a little slip that says you sent it out, and then when they sign for it, that slip comes back to you.
Get that little green card.
Exactly. And so I think that's probably, let's just stick that in. Registered mail return receipt requested.
Okay, and I don't have that language, but I'll put that. Registered what? Mail?
Registered mail return receipt requested.
Return receipt requested. Okay. So that'll go in, section 13.6, but I'll add that in and then we'll revisit it. But we did add section 13.8, final attempt to contact landowner before proceeding with enforcement. So after I send the certified letter, it gives them 10 days to send back a management plan. And I usually give them more than 10 days. I usually give them a month, depending on how crucial that time period is for that specific weed. But Travis wanted me to add in this extra effort. They want us to try to find a phone number. If we can't find a phone number, go knock on the door and try to make contact with them at the door. I'll have a document that they can sign just proving that I was there talking with them, and then at that point I can give them another week to provide me with a management plan. So that's kind of outlined. Did you guys read that, section 13.8?
I think it's a great section.
Okay.
I mean, it's certainly all we're required to do by statute is to send the letter, but I think making that face-to-face contact's huge. Both from hopefully motivating folks, and then also it's going to be helpful if we do end up in an enforcement action in court.
And should that be done prior or after the certified letter? I kind of feel like this step should be before the certified letter.
This should be before, and if you remember our conversation we had a couple of years ago when we were looking over this same document, probably 4 years ago, we had asked that to contact the people up front and to let us know, because sometimes we would have those contact numbers. Now, some of the ones that you have sent us, I haven't had any of the phone numbers, but we have two different commissioners with us too, that maybe they have a different group, but I think it should be done up front.
Okay,
yeah.
so that should be moved.
Yeah, I think the certified letter should almost be the last step before we go in.
And maybe I should add in the notification letter procedure in here too, because that's not in here as well. So I should put that notification sent and then,
Follow up with phone calls.
or
Just try to make-
verbal,
Yep,
and then enforcement.
that's last.
Okay. So then I'll have to rewrite that. But as far as the verbiage in 13.8, you thought that looked good, Ian?
I thought it looked good, yeah, from a verbiage standpoint, and I think it's a good idea too.
Move in front of certified. And then I'll add in the notification procedure as well. And then another thing I wanted to talk about is invoicing. Do I need to send certified invoices
Certified invoices
for the enforcement?
So currently she has one that has not paid the fee. So I'm not really worried about a certified invoice, because it's just, like I explained to her, it's just like you get a bill in the mail from a medical doctor, you get a certain period of time, well, sometimes you forget to pay the bill. So you just send out another one just to let them know, hey, just put this back on your radar and pay the fee before it has to go towards a lien.
I think again, it's not gonna be legally required, but I think it's always a good idea to send something certified, because then there's no defense that, hey, we didn't get it.
Okay.
So I would suggest doing it, just because that way nobody can come back and they can't say, oh, I wasn't living there,
Okay.
or oh, I changed addresses, or oh, that's not my right mailing address. That way you've got the signature and there's no thought that, hey, we didn't get this.
So certified invoice, require payment within 30 days, and then follow up with just a normal
Yeah, as long as they
invoice?
get it once.
Oh, so just one certified invoice.
And you can follow
Okay.
up with normal invoices. I mean, I don't know, at some point we would want to move forward with putting a lien on something like that, but.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would you give them 30 days? If you've already done the work, right?
Yeah, we did the
This is
work and then
coming
we
after the
charge,
fact?
yeah, after the treatment, the enforcement.
So why 30 days? Just a
That's just
question.
been the regular requirement unless you want to change it.
We've already done the work, we should be paid for what we've done, due upon receipt.
Due upon receipt,
That's
so,
just,
so what's the day
we're just
length?
discussing
Sometimes
things.
She's having somebody contract to do the work.
And we pay the contractor
I
and then we
understand that.
have the,
So
yeah.
we're footing the bill prior to them paying the bill.
So
we've
paid
gotta
within
pay that,
10
but-
days? What do you guys want to do?
So this isn't really a legal thing,
It's
but
not a
here's,
legal
I mean,
thing.
but here's my take on it. If you give somebody 10 days and they don't pay within 10 days, I mean, 10 days is a pretty quick turnaround. I mean, are we gonna move forward with putting a lien on their property after 10 days? I mean, I know,
But this is.
There's a
way-
lot of people-
this is
there's a lot of-
way after the fact now, right?
well, this is just after, when they're getting the bill for
After the
the, cer-
treatment has been done.
Yeah, after the
So prior
certified
to the
letter and all of
treatment,
this
We've
stuff.
done the letter, we've made the phone calls, we've sent the certified letter, we've actually,
yeah, but now they're getting something different. They're getting a bill. Right? Am I right? I mean, this is the first
and we-
time they would be
We've
seeing.
already paid the bill because somebody else had to go in there to do
Correct.
it.
So
you're
right when I
contractor.
submit them, the finance to pay the contractor bill, I also send the landowner a letter, well, payment for the invoice.
But you're paying the contractor.
Correct.
Yep, we are. So I guess my point is, why are we taking care of somebody else's responsibility when it was their responsibility up front, and they've already had now, how many notices that, to take, I'm just a conversation.
Whatever you guys want to do, you let me know.
I think 10 days is fine, after all the effort we put forward.
Because the property liens, I don't submit them into the treasurer's office until like the first week of December. So that's the only time that it's done.
So it could
But-
set,
And then
so
they've
if you
got,
sprayed in June, July?
you got 6 months to
August, I don't know
redeem.
when you spray.
And after it gets a lien, we add on a 20% cost for the administration for
Right.
putting a lien on. And if you want, if they don't pay within 10 days, we could add on a percentage late fee. Or just think about it and let me know, or we could just put 10 days on there.
Standard billing is 30 days, and then you add interest.
That's what I've been doing, yeah.
Was it 1% a month or
It's 20%.
Can be up
20%?
to, yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say at least 18%. But you have to put that in there too, so that they know it.
Oh, I
It
do.
can't be-
On their invoices, I do. So keep it 30, change it to 10. Meet in the middle at 20. I don't know.
I don't know, Commissioner Copenhaver, you haven't chimed in yet. What are your thoughts?
I just think if you're gonna do the interest thing and everything, you might as well make that bill due by 30 days, because that's just the standard. It's out
Yeah,
there.
you send out invoices, I mean,
Send out invoices every month, but you can't add that on there until you go past that 30 days.
Correct.
So
And from my perspective, I mean,
I don't see
I'm not
what
gonna have extra
advantage
cash
the 10
to-
days or 30 days is gonna make. I realize the longer some people put stuff off, the less likely they are to pay it. There's no
That's what I'm
doubt, that's
saying.
just
So
human nature.
I'm not talking about the interest per se, I'm talking about once we've sent them the invoice, we've already paid for everything. So why is it not due upon receipt? That's my question.
How quick of a turnaround have you been getting on these?
not very fast. A month or two, honestly. But some people get paid once a month, so I mean, honestly, it can be hard for some people to fork out the cash.
I think we should just
Um,
stay with 30 days and do
Okay.
it. If they don't pay it, then we can charge the interest.
Okay, and if you guys sleep on it and think of something else, I mean, let me know.
Yeah, we're just discussing.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll update with our changes that we talked about, and then we'll come back to it another time. And then for the certified letter, was reading over it, and I recommend that we take out the part where when we're requiring things, we're requiring a management plan within 10 days. And then another option they have is to manage the weeds on their property. So I'm coming into issues where they just mow, and it's not really taking care of the problem, and they don't submit a long-term plan. And so I have to keep redoing this property. Every year I have to come back and require a management plan. They go ahead and just take care of it. The next year I'm in the same situation. So I just recommended removing that and just requiring a management plan. And in these certified enforcements, I include a proposed management plan. They can either agree to that or come up with their own. And then if they do come up with their own, if it seems acceptable, we can accept it. If I think it's not acceptable, maybe they're just going to mow it for the rest of their lives, then we can have an arbitration panel. What's the word?
Arbitration.
Arbitration panel. And we've never done that. It's been in the paperwork. But we can start really following this protocol and making sure that we are having decent management plans that'll take care of this long term. And then, you know, with this certified letter, we send out the CDA fact sheets, which have management options on them as well. So I included this sentence: it is recommended that you follow the management guidelines for your specific species, which are found on the fact sheets included in this letter. And most of those fact sheets won't say mowing is an exceptional management. So I thought that was a good pertinent piece to put in there. You agree? Disagree?
What, so I'm gonna, here again, effective long-term planning. So long-term planning, what is that?
That's successfully eradicating the species. So that's like a 3-year plan.
Okay, so I think instead of a long-term plan, because a 3-year plan, in my opinion, is a short-term plan.
Okay.
So I think it's arguable, since I always argue with Ian. Why don't just put it in there? Just my opinion. I'm not, don't leave it,
Open-ended or?
no, just
Okay.
tell them what you're looking for.
Okay. It's a good idea. Any others? Okay, I'll add that in. Okay, the last part is this letter of commitment. I've never written one of these letters. I didn't know like the legality to it. So for all the grants that I've applied for in the past, the matching comes from the grants that I'm applying for, I guess. Most of these grants are yearly grants, so I can't say that match is secured because it still hasn't been announced and a PO hasn't been assigned. So most of the grants are fine with me using these anticipated matching grants, but this particular grant would like us to write a letter of commitment for these matching funds.
Okay,
So I don't know if my language is good on this, or,
Did you look at it, Ian?
I got it this morning. I think the language is good. We don't need to have it in a resolution format.
Okay.
And so I can even make that change this afternoon, Bonnie.
Okay, perfect.
And just get it into a letter format. The language is fine. I mean,
Okay.
if that's what you need to
yeah,
to
I've
move
never done
forward.
one
Yeah,
before, so I
yep.
figured this, I didn't
So-
want us to,
So you're saying you want us to commit to the 188,500 cash for matching funds with the 50,000 in kind for 23 to 25, correct?
yeah, and
for
so
that.
I put from the anticipated funds from partners in there. So I didn't really want to commit us forking out all this cash because we're doing it through outside grants, through anticipated funding. See, that's where the legality gets confusing.
Well,
I
that's-
don't know.
And so that's the question. I mean, what is it that we're wanting to do? Because, I mean, are we wanting to if we write a letter of commitment saying we're gonna commit these funds, then that's what that is. That's a letter of commitment, saying we're gonna commit these funds. And
That's how I read this. So
My-
it's saying that we're gonna commit to the 188,500 less the 50,000 of in-kind donations, correct?
I guess my concern with this kind of letter of commitment is budgets haven't been done yet. And so, I mean, between 23 and 25, we don't know where we're gonna be at.
Yeah, how do we commit that?
Is there language we can use that's not really committing, but saying that we're gonna do the best we can? I don't know.
I don't
I don't know.
know what it is that they're looking for. I mean, I don't know of very many government entities that are gonna be committing future funds
Yeah.
up front before they even receive something.
So,
And so maybe it's a matter of having a chat with these grant folks. I'm happy to join you and just
Okay,
say,
have them
hey,
clarify.
what is it that you're looking for? Because, I mean, for us to commit funds, I mean, heck, 2025, that's a long ways
Yeah.
down the road.
We haven't got 23 done yet.
And I even asked him for a deadline, and he didn't even give me a deadline. So I'll ask him to clarify exactly what he's wanting, or,
I mean, my thought would be that, I mean,
why don't you just
ultimately, like, they-
divide it by 3 and say in 2023, we would commit 1/3 of that number. And then that way it's
I
something
think-
that we can look at, we can budget. Because this is saying 23, 24, and 25.
yeah, because
We
I'm
can't
requesting a
commit- we
3-year
can't
funding
commit
you know,
project.
we could certainly do it that way. I mean, the way that this is generally done, though, is we get a grant, and then we're required to match, and you guys either vote to match and we get the grant, or you don't vote to match and we don't get the grant.
Okay.
I mean, that's
We
the
don't
way
have to-
that we generally work it. I mean, I don't know, this may be a unique situation. I obviously haven't talked to this guy, but, I mean, my thought is when we get these grants, I mean, somebody comes in with the money and they say, you want this money, you have to match. And then we say, okay, yeah, we'll match, if we have the money available then. I mean, I think it's always a little scary to start committing up front when
Yep.
we don't even know what we've gotten yet.
And when we talked, there was a lot of confusion on their part, it sounds like, when you and I talked. Because you didn't have figures of percentages or how much they wanted until later. Is it can we do a year-to-year grant and just apply for it every year?
We can, but it's just more beneficial for the project to do a 3-year. So you have long-term security of the funding. You know that in 2 years, you're gonna get this much from the grant. That way, when I do apply for more grants, I can say, hey, I have this 3-year commitment from this partner.
So this is basically asking for the percentage up front for us to commit to that, and that's where we don't know if we
Yeah,
have
it's-
it in
it's tricky.
24 or
Yeah.
25.
Yeah, it makes me nervous. So I guess let's call, maybe Ian, you and I can talk to him and you can,
Okay, yeah, let's exchange emails. I think we're set to meet sometime later this week anyway,
Okay.
so maybe we can just make the call then.
perfect.
Cool.
Okay, that's all I have.
I got something for you.
Uh-oh.
If
We-
there's talking about grants, I don't know if we can stretch that far or not.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I'll take 3 million. And then you guys, you got my email that we were awarded money through that America the Beautiful Challenge, which is great. So I don't know how much will come down to our county, but we'll see. Okay, I'll rewrite this. We'll work on it. So then I don't think I need to see you tomorrow because I don't have anything secured, you know, that commitment letter. We're not gonna be ready for that.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
Okay, Travis, if you'll give me back my agenda, since we hit everything with Miss Loving, I think we can now go back to our discussion.
I think we ought to cancel all holidays.
Go back to our discussion.
Got their
That's
attention.
that's
Got their
the
attention.
holiday season spirit.
Yeah.
Related to our
Humbug.
discussion of the Montezuma County holidays. So,
Okay. I want the little dog in the sled myself.
good afternoon, ladies. Do you have something that you would like to input? I'll give you the opportunity. I typically don't, but I will today. Well, we haven't discussed that yet.
Ma'am, if you would mind coming to the microphone, please.
We didn't ask you to turn it on. We just asked you to come to it. So basically, this obviously has to come before us every year for approval. And I had wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we were discussing it because last year After it was on our agenda, I think 2 times, we finally made the decision, and then we got it tossed back that nobody even knew that we were discussing it, which I wanted to make sure that people knew that we were discussing it.
Just so that's cleared up too, do you want me to come up and speak about the?
No, let me finish and then I'll bring you up.
No. When we said we didn't have it on this, some of us weren't on the email for the agenda. I just got on it like a month ago,
Okay.
so I really didn't know.
So obviously, we're not making decisions today. This is just a discussion because we don't approve these until, actually, I think the end of December. So it's just a discussion. So, and I made this statement last year and I'll make it again. Juneteenth was added, so there's actually 11 holidays instead of 10. Last year we moved it to 10. Obviously, I have a gentleman on the left and the right of me. You know, that we stay with the federal holidays. There was discussion last year because after we had voted to approve it, they said, well, what does Empire Electric do? What does the hospital do? Well, we actually went out and found that information. Empire Electric has 8 holidays and the hospital has 7. So, would you like to come up now?
They're ganging up on us.
Turn it on though.
I just think for as far as the holiday schedule, I know I've been here longer than some of the other people who've worked here. But I know the day after Thanksgiving is really important to a lot of people because their families are here. And it's, you know, I think that is the main thing in my office that I got complaints about was the day after Thanksgiving being taken away. That was the main one I heard anything about. So I know always in the past too, they always seemed to work out some way where we had 4 days off at Christmas and 4 days off at New Year's, whether it was the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, and the day after. You know, I mean, there was always somewhere built in there that we had the 4 days off, both those holidays too. But I do think that Thanksgiving was the biggest one that I heard the most complaints about, the Friday after Thanksgiving. And it does just go back to trying to keep people happy.
So what do they want to trade for?
I think.
So you want a floating
Yeah,
holiday?
I think,
You know, this was added, this actually was, I don't know when it was ratified, but it was, I think they actually recognized it this year prior to us setting our schedule. So Juneteenth was actually, in 2022, was probably recognized by the feds. But here again, we didn't want to make a floating holiday because we're not trying to offend anybody by anything.
Yeah.
But if you, as a benefits committee or the employees, I think want to have a floating holiday, recommend something to us. This is just part of a discussion. We're not making a decision today.
well, I'm not part of the committee.
I know, but you're part of the county
Yeah,
employees.
I'm just
So,
here as speaking for my
That's
office.
fine. Absolutely. You can sit down and grab another mic.
Yeah, we have a mic for everybody today.
Just something else
I have to turn it on and pull it close.
something else to consider for me is I am a single mom and my daycare is closed. So right now, I have no idea what I'm gonna do on the day after Thanksgiving, and that's 2 weeks away. And I'm like stressed about it, because what am I gonna do with my kids, you know? I know that that's not really your guys' problem, but it's a problem that I have and a lot of the girls in my office because they are too. So maybe just consider that whenever you're talking about it, that I know Portia, that's where my kids go. They close the whole 2 weeks of Christmas break. So I'm already like, okay, I'll deal with that when that gets here. But now I got to deal with the day after Thanksgiving first because I have to be here and I do not know what I'm going to do with them. So, just something to think about.
Okay. Ellen?
I know there's quite a few people with that problem.
I just kind of second what both of those people said. The people in my office, one lady's been there 14, 15 years. The other two were hired. That's almost a benefit. So you say, these are the days we get off. We get off this many days for Christmas, this many days at Thanksgiving. You know, hiring somebody from one of the banks that came over, that was a good thing for her to be able to do that. So to change it where they lost 3 last year, now we got, I guess, Juneteenth back. I know mine would be willing to give that up for any of those, but it is a problem for them to make plans if they have young kids. I think anybody that travels, not that you can't use vacation, you can, but our office is so dead on all of those days, so that's, I don't know if it's gonna be left up to individual offices to be able to decide what they wanna do, or,
It'll be obviously our decision. We're just asking for input. Again, like
Okay.
I said, we didn't want to get blindsided from the other side to say, hey, we didn't even know this was being discussed when it had been discussed.
well, and it is
So
good that we
we're
get a
we're
calendar out
listening.
and we can have it to look at ahead of time because we plan our year by that. But I just think what's hard for people is when they were hired with this anticipation, it almost feels like a benefit being taken away, which they, you know, with insurance and everything else, it's just one more thing. So, and I don't know that it serves the county any purpose. Our job is gonna get done whether we're there that day or the next day doing twice as much, so.
So I would kind of agree with Commissioner Lindsay. I mean, if, I will still, I made the statement that I would stay with the, whatever the national holidays are, and now it's 11. If you guys want to have a floating holiday, but it has to be a consensus of the entire county, not just one department or another. It can't be an individual. I mean,
Well, that's a little
know,
bit
what-
contradictory to what you said earlier about when we
to
were
11,
doing, if we wanted to do 4 days, if that worked for our offices,
can.
how we set that up. So that's still okay to do
If-
those kind of
here
things?
again, that has to be worked out with Travis, but if you guys, so here's what I said. I don't care if you go to 410s, but we have to be open 5 days a week.
Right,
So if half of your employees want to work Monday through
I gotcha.
Thursday,
Okay.
and the other half work Tuesday through Friday, that's fine. But we're open all
fine.
5
Okay,
days.
that part I didn't get, so I see what you're saying.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep,
So it's not,
perfectly.
because we're serving the public.
Yes, we are.
And the public they may not be, they only may
Right,
be able
and-
to sneak in on a Friday or a Monday.
Of course, different departments have different times that they're busy, and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just judging from my department, it doesn't make the decision for the county, because we're busy at very different times than other people, so.
Right.
And I know Kim
So-
is, and Leslie too, so,
Again, work that out with Travis, but we're gonna be open 5 days a week.
okay, gotcha.
But if half of your staff wants to work Monday through Thursday, and the other half Tuesday through Friday, that's for you guys. I mean, you have
Okay.
all the flexibility in the world to work it out.
Okay,
And we've got departments that are open 24/7, 7 days a week.
Right.
Sheriff's Department,
oh,
road
yeah,
department's always
that's
out
true,
there.
they're working
Yeah,
all the time.
There's a lot of different things to
Yes.
be considered, so
Yeah,
if you can do that and split it, and
makes sense.
3 work,
And I don't think anybody's saying, oh, we don't get enough holidays, because we know we do. It's just when it gets rearranged, people that have daycare, that's hard. So having some input is good, and I do think that day after Thanksgiving is hard for a lot of people, because it's always on a Thursday and you always have the Friday, but, you know, I don't know how to work that out exactly. Trade it, I guess.
so are you guys saying that a floating holiday is what you want? Kinda?
What do you mean by that? What would a floating holiday?
So say you wanna take Juneteenth, and it's then Friday after Thanksgiving.
So you wouldn't get Juneteenth, you'd get the Friday after Thanksgiving instead. But it can't be per person, it has to be.
Countywide,
Yeah,
because these are gonna be approved countywide.
So what are they gonna do, vote on it, or just let you know if they had an opinion, and then you'll
We're,
vote on it?
we're asking, we're just putting it out for a
Yeah.
discussion. It's up to you guys to find out what's going on, because otherwise,
Okay. I'll
if without
discuss it.
any input back to us, we'll make our decision based on what we have.
Can we only do that with one holiday, trade one for one, or can the county decide to get rid of 3 stupid ones and take?
We'll be cautious of what you say there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be very cautious.
Yeah, I've had a couple of, that I've talked to about this. They would rather have the day after Christmas and the day after Thanksgiving off rather than a couple of these others.
That's
Right.
what I mean, New Year's
And
or New
I mean,
Year's.
that's what some
I think-
feedback that I've had.
I think what we're saying is we don't have to approve this until December, so we're starting a month early. So you guys do your due diligence and find out what benefits the entire county. There's, again, in my opinion, it could stay at 10 and it could go to 11. But since there are 11 federal holidays, I would stay with 11 and I would add one. But if you want them to be floating, because of what Commissioner Copenhaver just said, I'm not opposed to moving those around either, but it has to be to benefit the entire county.
And I believe every department has a member from their staff on the benefit committee, correct? So I'll have Lynn reach out to the benefits committee and have a special meeting after everybody kind of gets their mind wrapped around and see what their proposal is.
And we don't have to decide this until, I think it's the end of December, right?
Yeah.
So there's plenty of time for a discussion, plenty of time for you guys to do what reaching out you want to do. It was just part of our agenda for us to start discussing it.
I can see 3 on there that make good trades.
Me too. Thought that all year.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Never bad.
Nah.
Gentlemen, do you have anything else to discuss on that?
Nothing.
Okay, well, with that, I think we have come to the end of our agenda.
We do have E911.
We do have the E911, but that's a totally different, we'll have to open that up at 3 o'clock. So with that, the workshop for the BOCC is come to a close. Thank you all.